Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. And this week I'm joined by the Surf Coach channel and its head man, Kike. So, Kike, can you introduce yourself and tell everyone about yourself?
All right, inviting me and giving this opportunity to talk about this project. My name is Enrique Lenzano. Everybody knows me as Kike. I'm a surfer 1985 and a surf coach since 2002. I've been through all stages of coaching since tourist beginners before, and then I start to do something about kids get involved in the long-term development. So I kind of get a group of kids and develop them into the professional surfing levels. So I've been already professional surfers, traveling the world, doing this in the old format. So, now we have this kind of regional format and before a worldwide format. So a lot of traveling and a lot of working with high performance. And basically, what I did in the last 6 years, I brought all that high performance knowledge that I got this 20 years of coaching and basically share it with the normal surfer. I specialize in video analysis and technique approach, very technical approach, and I organize the world. I spent a while in El Salvador, and surf coaching growing crazy everywhere in the world. It seems no institutional growth following this number increase in a few years. So it's been really hard um, to gather good information about surf coaching. It's all more into follow somebody that you like or the style. Also, surfer that, for example, a surf coach liked, and then this professional surfer become a surf coach, and it's all the information really dig into and follow somebody, try to somebody's, bringing something new for your coaching in whatever areas the coaching is professionally with the high performance or kids or, just usual surfers just want to improve on themselves. So I teach coaches surf level one and level two of the Port Federation. And so I do the regular courses, renew our coach credentials. And basically, in this Surf Coach channel, which is very demanding, I wasn't expecting to keep up on it. So props on you, Ross, doing a podcast, editing, and it's all for me. And I hope I can keep up and keep sharing information. What I did for my Surf Coach profile for not mixing stuff. So the idea of the Surf Coach channel is just to be a place for share. I see interesting for the Surf Coach, like information from other coaches or um, services or anything related, to the topics. Also, the idea here is to gradually start interviewing people that can increase, the value of any coach and be the information for Surf coaches.
Amazing. Yeah, it's great, and you're right. Like, like, there's been a little bit of confusion as well the last few years, hasn't there? With like, I started off as ASI in 2011. I done my quals out in Bali. So ASI was the dominant one over that way. Come over to that worked fine in Portugal then as well. The one I was saying to before we started recording. Then I tried getting a job in Ireland and they wouldn't accept my ASI. It was limited in the UK at the time as well. So I ended up going over to the
Yeah,
ISA.
right now in Portugal is not valid for a very simple reason is our Portuguese level one is altogether 60 to 7 or 72 hours course, and ISA is kind of half. So for have a work placement worth 600 hours. So let's say, yeah, you do the course. The way I work with this have an online platform. You will study by yourself where you are in
Mm.
the country, and then you gotta make it through all the stages and all the theories done in a platform. It's a Zoom session where I teacher speaks on very interactive kind of platform. So then you get into the practice, and we do practice in a week. It's around 64 to 70 hours. Then you need to do a season. So ISA it really have their coaches in level one, neither level three to do work placements. And so for that, nationals doesn't recognize.
Yeah, it's quite. I won't say it's simple to get. The level one is, and I mean, look at France. They sort of started or paved the way for your more intensive course. I think, like, I can't remember what they call it now, but that's quite an intensive thing to pass. Like, you have your fitness, a decent fitness test. You have your full theory. I done my level two with the ISA in 2022, so coming up 3 years ago, and that was a bit more intense in terms of the theory. So you are starting to look at more coaching rather than instructing and going into the performance aspect, which for me was fine. I've worked as a personal trainer since 2012, so I already knew that side of it, and it was just bringing it into a surf format, which is what I've always tried anyway. But then you look at the ASI, and they've got, I think, 4 levels, haven't they? And you think, well, I think it'd be nice for the ISA to, when it gets to level two, actually have a bit more time. Like, if you're trying to promote the performance and the strength side of training for surfing as well, then you need to get them hours in. So having, like you say, with the Portuguese Federation, having a placement is so much more beneficial. I had a coach reach out to me the other week because they were doing their level two with the ISA. I'm like, we don't know what we're doing because there's nothing in the level one to really put you in that. It's here's 2 or 3 different methods to get people to their feet, explain a rip, and you got to have your surf life saving qualification, then you're sort of good to go. And that you can have it done in a week, and you go off and you go do 20 hours, and that's it. You're like, well, it doesn't really take much.
Yeah,
It's kind of churning them out. So yeah, to have that
yeah,
bit more
exactly.
development in there would be amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's as a the yeah, I can say in the industry of beginner is huge. I mean, the amount of people in for a certain worldwide is it's huge. I don't understand how institutionally we're not following this growth. It's not really difficult. It's just get the right people to write down the courses and run them. In technology to nowadays is crazy. I mean, we use this Portuguese made platform which they teach over 80 courses for since medicine to pharmacy, sports science. They huge. They do it in 14. We actually working now in translating the Portuguese surf coach course into Spanish and English. You can have, for example, a lot of people, foreigners living in Portugal, they want to work as a surf coaches, but they only can do ISA because when they do it, the Portuguese course is only lecturing Portuguese. So it's these people who don't speak Portuguese to really get the level. So we're working on it. All this to say, it's not so hard to make things available for in good quality for people. I just don't get it how ISA is not really, which is it say in courses right now all over the world. I mean, so doing it better, it won't cost.
Hmm.
What it confuses me, for example, if you are coach, you can if let's take if you have FIFA level 4, you're not even allowed to step a foot on the pitch of a first league game. So football.
I don't actually follow football. I was the fat kid in
Yeah,
school,
let's go.
so
Yeah,
I got put in goal or defence. I had
yeah.
PTSD
Let's
from
say,
trying to play football as a kid.
for example, this happened with a lot of players. Like right now, Iniesta from the Barcelona, which was the brain of national team, won a World Cup, the brain of Barcelona prime time. This guy cannot coach a team because having level 4 yet. So that's why he's not coaching. And I don't understand, or I can't understand why surfing anybody can go into a, for example, anybody can go with a surfer to Olympics, anybody can go with a surfer to a city, and anybody can go to national contest. So why there is not clear rule? Maybe because we knew about it. Like, I can reach city level and I bring you as my mentor because we are from the same beach. You are older. I respect you, me the way, and see why you do a surf coach course, which for super valid explanation. But on the other hand, if we would really want to get professional, I think it's either WSL or ISA take over rule the surf coach
Hmm.
kind of credentials. For me, it's very confusing. Go to a Portuguese. Anybody can walk into the athlete zone. Anybody can be at the beach next to a an athlete. For example, what I see lately is young kids, maybe on coach course, they're already coaching competition. So I'm not against people making their way. Never against that. I'm no one. If you don't go through the stages, like beginners, be there for a while, then go for advanced, then go for, beginner, intermediate, advanced, competition, and then high performance. If you follow this path, then you will know what happened in this, and that will make you a better high performance coach. And also, as in other sports, normally they take the best coaches instead of being the high performance.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's funny though, isn't it? Like if you look at how the coaching's gone, just in the time that I've done it, since 2011. When I got my ASI, I could have flown to most countries in the world and just gone coaching, and except for France. Whereas now, a lot of countries are getting their own NGBs or national governing bodies and doing their own course. Surfing England have just got their own level 1 course and will be working on a level 2, and it'll go up and up. So I fear that it's going to get to the point that I'm already there. I've coached in Portugal a couple of times. I love it, and I am fully intentional about moving out to Portugal to live at some point. I fall in love with the country. It's amazing, and but with a mix of the qualification situation and Brexit, thank you Brexit, made things so much more complicated, visas and blah blah blah, that it just doesn't make sense right now to do that. Um, but if you wanted to come in coach in the UK with just the Portuguese Federation and no ISA or ASI or whatever, that would be hard for you. And you think, well, half the reason people want to become a surf coach in the first place is to go, I'm going to go and travel, use this as a means to go around the world, enjoy myself, get better at surfing by surfing out in Indonesia, El Salvador, the whole west coast of the USA, and wherever they want to go, tour Australia. And you can lifeguard and surf coach your way around the world. Whereas now, it's kind of like, well, you can do that, but only if you've got our qualifications. Like, well, no, I'm not French, but I want to come and do a season in France, or I want to go do a season in Portugal 3 months now from the UK. So it's making that barrier to entry a lot harder than what it could be or used to be. So I think, like you say, if the ISA, for example, can go, well, here you go. Here is an international qualification, you might have to pay a premium per year to have it, but have a list of countries that have accepted that. They might have just want to get some money off the ISA for it and go, okay, well, yeah, they can come and coach, but we want to get our share of that because that means that we got less of our own of people to coach.
Yes.
It's I'm sure somewhere
It's
down the line.
tricky, I think, yeah, but you're putting it in the right way. Um, I'm not really into the detail how FIFA did it, but FIFA, it's world governing body. It's just so simple as that. And I think we should take examples of also tennis. I'm not sure about tennis, so I don't want to really get into the tennis credentials, but for sure you need to have to sit next to the court, next to your player. You know, it's just not anybody can sit next to a player and talk to a player. And I don't think it's more than thing. We're focusing on the credentials, but I think it's more than that. In 2021, I participated of the. It's very interesting. This the International for Coaching Excellence, ICCEA. They gather the coaches from all the sports, um, from sailing sports to running, and they do a congress every 2 years. 21 was held in Lisbon, so I participated. So the first 2 days they use it to present. It's kind of very technical because they do presentation from research and investigation. So it's very technical. I was in one, I was sitting and hearing about some American woman talking about how important is the word of mouth. And a study in 3 cities where they asked people, I believe it was, let's say, for instance, hey, you know, Rose James, just asking people. And then they start qualifying how many people knows Rose James and how was it? What do you think? Is he a good coach? Or and then they design which is super interesting. And they just to show the results and the importance of the word of mouth. I was super impressed. The next, the most game changing speak how do you say talks. It was from coach in Singapore, and you need to have almost for everything. You just can do. I think you always need to go to college to be the garbage man. So basically, it's a very high standard for education. But what happened is they realized that in sports, they were not having this kind of commitment. So what happened? They realized that all the people who don't really get into the study world or they not knowledge or they don't do any kind of course, they were up in the sport clubs like football, tennis, and somebody in Singapore coaching started to ask, why are we not having more athletes in the different sports, reaching Olympic levels? So they run a survey, national survey, and so they come to this conclusion, which was, if you want to be a football, you need to go to college, you need to have this course, you need to have the FIFA, you need to want to coach, also things you need to do, and also in they come to the conclusion people were not really were asked realize that the most important thing, which is the kids, they were being handled by knowledge of communication or technique, and uh, the numbers of kids quitting sports was huge. So they take a measure instead of everybody out of place. They run a program and they start to, give in money incentive clubs. So they say, okay, Ross, we give money to your club only if all the coaches that works with you right now start to do the football coaching one. If they don't do it, you don't get the fundings, and so on and on and on. And in a period of 10 years, the Singapore sports results, they start to Olympics, the level of the regionals, really get into a very level in terms of results. And because in surfing it's kind of the same. So you got people which is good in ocean reading. It's people who are surfers, but that they cannot really reach out a kid. Need more than say, is the right hander there, wait for the right tide, do this, do that. And it's much more. What I believe is that's the way we should be looking at right now. So I don't know institutionally, ISA or but somehow this needs to start to happen. So if we want more kids, better surfers, and better results, I mean, in the Olympic, you don't need a coach. You need to surf and gather with your mates and surfing. I think this example that Singapore coaching Singapore associate.
Yeah. That sounds like that's a really interesting event, to be honest. And you definitely come away with some interesting stuff there. So, yeah, that's the thing. And trouble is, like, and I've said it to a few people, especially in the UK, Portugal, they take things a little more seriously, especially with surfing. You've got more consistent swell. It's things are led out so that it's easier to progress faster than in the UK. Half of that's just down to nicer weather and, let's say, consistent swell and some epic breaks, all up and down the coast. But the UK is still behind the times in terms of training for surfing, like, and training for anything. Maybe it's just a classic British attitude of, oh yeah, we'll do that next week, but now I'm off down the pub tonight with Dave. And it's, but in all seriousness, like, there's so many people that just surfing is something you do in the summer down in Cornwall for so much of the population. I don't know many Brits that have got the work life balance nailed at all. I know I certainly haven't at the minute. I'm doing these most nights. I'm doing my sports massage therapy at the moment, studying from strength and conditioning, working a full time job, and I've got a very hyperactive dog. So trying to find the time for anything else is just mental. But point being, like, for me personally, I've always wanted to get as much out of surfing as possible. I'm not ADHD or anything like that, but I do get bored by a certain point. Surfing's always hooked me in, but that's because I put a little bit more pressure on myself to get better at it. Maybe it was sort of a chip on the shoulder about being a surf coach. It's like, oh, I've got to be at a certain level for this. I don't want to fall below a bar that I've set for myself. I want people, I'm not epic. I'm never going to be competing in the QS. I've done a couple of longboard events in the UK for a bit of fun and a free T-shirt and a chance to surf North Fistral with just three other guys out, which is well worth the money. Yeah, so one day I'll do it, and it's going to be like 4 foot and clean one day. But it's, yeah, for me, it's continual development. The better I can get, the better I can pass, the better I can learn, and the better knowledge I can pass on to my clients. I can't teach anyone how to do a 360 because I don't do 360s, especially at 40 years old with two knee operations underneath my belt. But I can get them right up, so I can strengthen them up for it, which is why, for me, my background is more injury prevention, strength training, and keeping people fit in between surfs. Because from where I grew up, I might have 3 months with no waves. My last time on the water was February, and we're now beginning of May. So there's a fair amount of time between my trips at the moment. Let's say roll on beginning of June, and I'll be back in Cornwall. So hopefully we're not going to have a flat summer because I'm desperate to get some salt water behind the ears. But I think it is super important now that surfing is such a dynamic sport. Coaches and instructors need to have that little bit of knowledge behind them in how to train people up for it, even the beginners. I mean, how many people have you taught over the years that have learned to surf but struggle to even stand up on a board? Like, you did a level one, right? And so when I learned to surf, I was told adamantly, do not use your knees. Fully understand why, because it becomes a bad habit and it's harder to break a habit and build a new one rather than start the original thing from scratch, right? However, if you've got someone that's got a very sedentary job and lifestyle, quite obese, really wants to go surfing with their kids, they're going to have to use their knees, really. Like, you can do the back leg, front leg, but if they struggle to do a push up and they're currently weighing 120 kilo, because they have a takeaway every week and they don't really move much Monday to Friday, they're not going to be doing a pop up. They're probably not going to do a press up into a back foot into a front foot. You're going to have to get that person on a very wide board with a lot of volume, sliding up to their knees, and they may or may not be able to stand up from there. As you know, you've got to be able to vary the options available. So arming people with that knowledge, the coaches with that knowledge, and going, look, generally speaking, yes, these two options are what we want. We want people stood up at the end of the lesson. Of course we do. That's the main focal point of surfing. But you want to arm them with, like the guests, with information on how to get a bit fitter, because their kids have just signed up. Dad's come in, he's got his two little girls with him. They've really enjoyed it. Like, we want to go back, we want to go back. And he's like, okay, I thought this was one off. Okay, no, we're coming back next summer then. So he's now got a goal of dropping some weight by next year, getting into a much fitter, healthier way of life in order to be able to do the fun stuff with his kids. Um, but you never see that side of it. And if you're going to look at the athlete side of it as well, you need to be able to live like an athlete in order to train an athlete. You need to know where the mental barriers are, where the physical barriers are, and how to look after that client from start to finish. I'm not saying you've got to be able to do all the aerials. Some of us really like our knees, but you still need to have that knowledge behind you, which just isn't being given to surf coaches at the moment.
It's um the thing is, it's very new. If you look at it, it's, I mean, now might be Leandro Dora should might be the most the guy to be nowadays in the high performance. Why? He makes his athletes make win events at city level. He got this Primor surf kind of method becoming huge in Brazil and South America. They efficient. They kind of met. It seems like they lead in the world. The way I see it is a lot of surf going things first place. Things takes
Mm,
time. You can't just out of nowhere or in 10 years of coaching, because before 10 years we have mentors or we have visionaries, because 20 years ago and behind, people who were doing stuff that you cannot do, and then you want to know how this guy is performing those top turns, or how is this guy getting so barrel next to me and I'm not getting barrel. So it used to be a different way. Now we have is more information. What we have is more tools, more technology, and we got people which is translating all these skills in and break it down in order to explain it to a person. From this 120 kilo guy who wants to do a takeoff and has no shape, and in the first place maybe he can just swim, for a week instead of trying to do the pop-up. But the information is being taken out of the guys who can really perform, put into books, put into knowledge, put into self-coaching courses. Some guys are taught and putting it out there for the people and sharing it. And I think it's something that needs to happen. We cannot be just like coaches from in 10 years. FIFA has been working with football coaches for 100 years,
mm,
swimming coaches 100 years in the Olympics, gymnastic coaches of Olympics, books written by millions of coaches and technicians. And surfing, if you look at it, how many books actually were written about surf coaching or about coach approach in different situations. What you see is a couple of books that become to my knowledge about technique, which are made with very fancy designs about pop-up and this and that. So the industry is right now the is very hungry. These people have the money, they're young, they want to improve surfing. So offer demand dynamic. So if these people have the money, I have the ideas, I put it into a book, I make it nice, I sell a book. But how many books or how many have been written about high performance there? So the reason why I'm questioning this is just to put a zoom out about where we're standing right now in the line, which is very, very at the surf coach professionalism. But also we have this awareness in order to say, okay, yeah, that's true. Let's write a book. Let's put it out there. Expose yourself. Be open to criticism, and then people say, "Okay, read it. It's not the way to." But at least somebody wrote it, and so and then many people will say, "Okay, that book is not it's not the way to go," or that book is the way to go, and then create some stuff. The surf coach um, professionalism, I mean, increasing a lot. I had an interview with the founder of very interesting app, Surf Coach Management Manager. His name is, they're from Chile, and they invent this app that basically, if you have a tablet at the beach, you can do hit zones and give scores just by one touch to your students. So you can be filming, and one of your students in red finished the wave, you give a score, and all this keeps a record. So when the session finish, let's say Ross, to your personal profile, I will put there your waves, and your waves will stay in your profile. You can write down some comments, and then I can write you down some comments. So in between sessions, from today's Tuesday, next session is going to be Friday. So and Thursday we can be discussing in this kind of. It's super interesting. I'm like, I've been doing this manually by Excel and learning Excel sheet, check some graphics, and I also work with a team of a lot of coaches, and the record of the coaching session every month. We can see the numbers, what we're doing, how many kids are going to point breaks, how many kids are going to beach breaks, and all that come up to getting up. It's amazing. And I'm kidding. So, and slowly things start to happen, and I see things happening, and important. And the idea of creating the Surf Code channel came up. To be honest, it was just like a kind of like a impulse to do it and start it. Because otherwise, if waiting for the perfect moment, I will never start it. So hopefully it will be a place for sharing and, getting people to.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think what you're doing is brilliant, and there's definitely that space for it. Like you say, there's so much. It's still surf coaching is in its infancy in one way. Obviously, you got the guys. I had Martin Dunn on here a few weeks back. He's been coaching for decades, but again, that's Australia. Like they are so far ahead than the rest of the world that we can definitely learn a lot from them. I had Clive Riddell on the other day as well. Although originally Cornish, he's spent the last, I want to say, 40 years coaching surfing and strength conditioning out in Australia, working for the Performance Centre, and they've got it so dialed in. Um, the rest of the world's now only just starting to catch up to it. Obviously, the States and Hawaii are probably the closest behind, and thankfully, we're starting to figure out in Europe. But yeah, there's just so much more to learn. It's not just that summer job anymore. Like if you get the right clients, and with the way online coaching has gone, it's a lot more accessible, and you can really start building a bit of a career out of it, which is nice. There's obviously plenty of them going around for you to start a pursuit like this. I'd love to be in a position to help more coaches, but again, in the UK, it's, I don't know, too much of a stiff upper lip. struggling a little bit to get people to go, oh yeah, if I do this, this is better for me, whether that's a client or a coach. It's like you can do this. You just need to arm yourself with that bit more knowledge. So, what would you say is your next stage with the Surf Coach channel?
Oh, right now I think I it's to get the people in the surf coach um path, people doing great, to share, because one of the best ways for us in this early stage kind of industry is if we not share information, or we don't share openly, or I think it will be slower for us to become better. So last week I talked to the founder of this surf coach manager, and hopefully I'm waiting on the because we had elections on the Portuguese Surfing Federation. It's new people at the federation, so I got in touch with them and just try to get to talk to the new president, and we're waiting for answers. It's been a bit of hectic now because it's been 12 years same president, and now the guys are running on papers and trying to get everything. So I'll be very soon, but that will be the next step, just where this federation um, leader stands on the community.
Mm,
We do have some association that works for coaches, but it's very political. Associations being held. It was born a couple years ago. Things are super slow, and still the same. Like I say, at one point, that first, the main reason pushed me to do just to what I took, for example, the media like CNN, or all these media channels. So it becomes it's so heavy, the machine, that for you to get some news on it, you already saw it in social media, and then you put the TV on and about something like, oh, it's just happened, and you died 3 days already. I mean, how comes the CNN or all these guys just? I give you a general example to politics and anything like this. So I think the same is happening in the search industry. So what's happening right now is I follow a couple of guys in the different topics that I'm interested in my personal life, and they got me the information before any huge channel financed by the government, or financed by the left, or financed for the right. And then then depending who's paying the journalist is the type of news you're getting. And what I see is that people use the social media as a, so I'm following like 20 something year old kids with the journalism credentials, doing the right questions, being at the right place, being, fresh information. And I believe that's the way we can improve. If we wait for something, it's going to be a long time. If we wait for Portugal Federation, or if you wait for the Great Britain Federation, I think we all have the tools, and just need to get started. Get a phone, get a YouTube account, open an Instagram account, and then just start. Just don't wait for the perfect timing. So that's what kind of get me going, and hopefully, I can gather interesting information that self coaches find it interesting. That's all. I like to share. I don't know whatever I think about self coaching. It's just my opinion. No hard feelings if somebody is not agree with it. I'm not sharing because I'm the person which is always right. I'm not sharing just to make a statement. Much I know about it's the opposite. I share, take it. Maybe you say, oh yeah, Kike say up in 3. Maybe I do pop up in 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't care. Just as far as that my
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's like you say, it's just arming people with that knowledge, and they can choose to take it, leave it, adapt it, whatever works really. As long as everyone's having a good time, then so be it. Yeah, the organisation's definitely on the fast
uh,
list, and I know, especially in Portugal, things are
I
taking a
want to
bit
show you
longer.
this. This is my book. I did it for the um, federation.
Yeah.
So they asked me from the ego to the soul.
Nice.
It's all the drawings.
Amazing. Is that
The
in essence the essence of surf coaching? Does that translate to the
I didn't
essence
hear
of
that.
surf coaching?
Um, from the ego, why is the name of? I wrote this with my
Mm.
psychology. This doctor. So method is basically teach. I recommend the patient what to each age stage, and it's super nice because it's not that will be the if you're 40 years old and you never surfed before, I'm gonna give you the content from. I'm just gonna speak to you. Ideal will be from 4 to 6 years old, and the information there is, connection with the ocean, and then the surfboard, the catching the wave, and blah blah blah, right? But ideally would be 4 to 6, and this makes coaches easier because then the only thing to do is the same information for a 40-year-old person, just communicate different. So my doctor, like my second of opening each chapter with the key words for communication. So what is a 4 to 6 year old kid experiencing? Oh, they experience duality. Talk to them this way so then you can get the information the right way. But remember the book is the name came up from Ines because she analyzed surf coaches and surfer community as a doctor and as a psychologist and as a life coach. And so she came up with this name where I found amazing is very selfish. It's my wave, my board, my beach, my peak, my this, my student, my athlete. So my. So it's very ego center. And she says you need to be more soul and also ego. And that's why it came up with the name. Think based on this concept, it's what we need to do. Not so much on me, but a little bit on what I can there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what teaching and coaching is at the end of the day, is taking what you know and giving that information away to help other people. Generally, why most people get into coaching in the first place, in any discipline. Ah, brilliant. So, have you got any plans on writing another book?
No, this book actually is half of the method, so I'm finishing the complete book. It was something weird, writing a book, and so I wrote a book in 4 months. And yeah, so basically, the Portuguese Confederation. I listen, Pedro. I can I to meet the deadline. I can split the method in two parts. And he says to me, "Okay, show me the first." He says to me, "This is good enough for us to publish it." So we publish this. I'm finishing the other part, and then hopefully get it all together and translate it. But it's not in the pipeline right now, so it's happening. It's happening. So
I look forward to that. Well, but it's come up to the hour, mate. So, and it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. So, if there's any coaches out there that want to get hold of you, what's the best way to do that?
I think Instagram is the best way to do it. Everybody use Instagram nowadays. It's kikesurfcoach.com. And yeah, that's for my coaching. And as for the surf coach channel, it's just, Instagram for now. And I I hopefully start to feed with some more videos and content. But right now, it's very interesting information, like 6 posts, but very useful tips for coach profile in Instagram.
Perfect. Well, I'll stick a link to those in the description. Not a problem. I'm actually hoping to be doing some massage at the Peniche competition in late September, early October for the Challenger Series. So hopefully, catch up, have a surf, have a pastel de nata, and yeah, sounds brilliant. I need a tour guide around Peniche. I don't really know it that well. So That'd be amazing.
You do the play.
Yeah, perfect. Muito bom. But yeah,
Muito bom.
thanks very much, Kike. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Your time and the opportunity.
Yeah, we'll chat again soon. Ciao. Hi, I really hope you enjoyed that podcast. If you're interested in anything that guest has to say today, then please have a look in the description for the links. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next episode.